check this out. I spent way too much money on this thing because look at the monstrosity that I had to make because that thing over there kept dying. So this came out of that, but now it's time to use that. So I want to put this back in that, and then this is going to go in that, and that's going to go into my battery scrapyard because I have way too many cores. Don't know how that happened. Look, instructions for the Optima battery. I wish I knew how to read. Okay, so tools that we need. Well, just a basic kit basically is most of what you need for most vehicles. However, one little caveat there, we need some type of way to keep the memory alive inside the vehicle. Why is that? Well, you know, on something like this, we'll lose our radio stations. On a lot of the newer vehicles, you'll lose all of your adaptive learnings in the computer, so the vehicle may run a little rough, especially if it has higher mileage. You could have some security lockout features, so you lose power and your radio gets locked out. That's no fun. And I mean, that's primarily it. You're going to lose all your settings and your memories in your seats, radio, that kind of stuff. So not ideal. So how do we maintain the memory whilst changing our battery? Well, a couple of little tools I got here. This one, really good one. This plugs into your OBD port, and then this plugs into some type of booster pack, which I don't have, so I can't really use that. Do be cautious if you're using these. They have a fuse on the end here. I did not know that. That fuse is blown. Not sure how I managed that, but I did. Talent. These are really nice. These just plug into your cigar lighter or your cigarette lighter or your auxiliary power, and you put a 9-volt battery on there. I don't have a 9-volt battery. The other thing you got to watch for these, a lot of modern vehicles, this one doesn't do it. This one always has power to my cigarette lighter. So this is going to work perfect. I know Toyotas do this, and a lot of modern cars do, where they shut off power to any of the auxiliary ports when you shut the key off. Why do they do that? So that you can't drain the battery. Well, okay, so that's usually nice. Doesn't work here. What am I going to do? I had this extra little battery laying around, just a little 12 volt out of my kayak, and I've got some jumper leads. So what I'm going to do here, this is not going to go directly to the battery, so I'd knock it off, but just on the back of my alternator, because my alternator is nice and easy to reach. So I've got my power actually right there, quite nice and easy to access, and I'll just put power and ground to the system so it'll maintain its memory. One more thing though, on your fancier vehicles, you're going to need a scan tool. And why do you need the scan tool? We're going to have to go into reset the battery monitor. Why do we need to do that? Well, as the vehicle ages, the battery degrades, BMS. Sometimes they're called IBS too, that's ironic. So as the battery degrades, the alternator changes its charging profile, which is awesome, so that it optimizes the charging for the battery. But if we were to put a new battery in with an old charging profile, you're going to get some weird electrical issues and lights on the dash and warnings, and typically it'll sort itself out, but we don't know how long that's going to take, so we're going to want to go through a scan tool and do that. But you don't need a super high-end scan tool like this, although it works quite nice. One of these little dongles, this is a Top Scan. They run on Amazon, they go on sale a lot, but they're roughly about $100. They do exactly that. So that will basically cover the cost of labor of paying somebody else to do that for you. So totally worth it in my opinion. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my auxiliary power and I'm going to connect it. So whenever you're changing a battery, the ground, the negative, comes off first and goes on last. Why is that? Well, because it's a chassis is grounded out, so it's just easier that way. If you take that off, then we're okay. If you were to take the positive off, you could still touch the positive terminal to the chassis, which is still grounded, short circuit things. Not a lot of fun unless you're doing it on purpose, then it is a lot of fun. But that can do a lot of damage. So anyways, take my red lead, put it on my power, and red lead, power of my battery, my little auxiliary battery. Speaking of auxiliary batteries, if you're working on a vehicle with a stop-start system, a lot of them, I know that Jeep is one of them, they use an auxiliary battery. Change both batteries at the same time. Unless they were both brand new like 3 months ago and one's defective, even then you got to kind of watch it. But change them both, because one bad battery will suck down a good battery and it'll kill it. And you could still have, if one of them's been replaced, one's good, one's not so good, you can still have issues with your stop-start system. Okay, so I've got my little auxiliary battery connected up. Memory's going to be good. Now this is a little bit of a rigged system. So a couple of steps you can do here. The first one, these are actually AC Delco, by the way, these little adapters. Cool. So I'm going to take my negative off first and then my positive, and then you would usually unbolt your hold down. In this case, the hold down is just a bungee cord, and it's done its job very well, actually. So, okay, cool. It's a little bit redneck, but it worked. So on these older GMs, these side posts, yeah, so this is what I was just going to talk about. There's not always clearance. So ratchet may not be the best idea. I'm going to go grab a wrench. A ratcheting wrench here and just a regular one, but I feel fancy, so let's use the ratcheting wrench. Negative disconnected, cool. These I found get rusty quite a bit, and just over time they get rounded off, so not a bad idea to replace these little cable ends anytime you're in replacing your battery. Not a big extra expense for a little bit of extra safety. Peace of mind. Take my positive off. Ugh. Lift the battery out. Ugh. Now, before I put this one in with the original battery, there was a little cross brace that went across here. A lot of vehicles, the batteries aren't this easy to get at anymore. So you're gonna have to remove some components. If you're not super familiar with it, take a lot of pictures as you're doing it so that if you forget where something goes, you can go back and retrace your steps and you can figure out where it's supposed to be. A situation like this, not huge, but I mean, some vehicles, things are a lot more compact and condensed, and if you put a bolt that's slightly too long in the wrong spot, you can cause some damage. So anyways, let's get this battery out of here. Ugh, let's go back in the boat. Just some good housekeeping, clean up that battery tray a little bit. You can see down here where the original hold down mounted, and anytime you're gonna take this hold down out, just from my experience, I mean, this thing's a 25-year-old beast. Love this old truck. I like to put a little bit of anti-seize or a little bit of grease on the hold down bolt there, because I've run into some problems before where those round off and get seized, and it is absolute, like there is not a lot of room in there to try to get a cutoff wheel in there, and batteries make some really strange smells when you accidentally cut into them with a die grinder trying to cut off your hold down there. Optima battery goes in. I took the handle off of this, so that probably would have made my life a little bit easier if I had left it on. At this point, at least. That fits in there nicely. Cool thing about Optima batteries, so it came with this extra tray, which some batteries have a hold down that goes over the top. You can stick that on there if you need the extra height, and then the hold down will still work. And then they also have some other adapters. Let's see, so that says a Group 65 adapter. So that's pretty cool. They make, whoa, look at that. I got a red hold down. Wicked. We're going to use that instead of the factory one. That even goes right around the cell. Oh, that's so cool. It's like Christmas time. At this point, before I reconnect my cables, I'm going to go find the bolts and the brackets that I took out a little while back to be able to make that monstrosity I had here. So anytime you're working on a project, there's going to be a little bit before you get back to, and by a little bit I mean anything more than 10 minutes. Good idea to take your bolts and put them back where they came out of. So let's see, this goes right here like so, but where are my bolts, you ask? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go find those, but I did find the important part. So there's my original hold down, which is designed to go on a normal battery. We're gonna take that super awesome custom red hold down, and then you can see that I got my bolt is a little bit greased up there, so it's not gonna seize. That fits. It's really nice when aftermarket parts work. And we are going to come right down there. A little bit easier to do this with two hands. Okay, I got that hole started. Right down in there. That red hold down looks so cool. I believe that's a 13 mil. Yes. Ah! Don't over torque these. I just grabbed this slightly larger ratchet to give me a little bit more of an extension, and that toolkit to save me the time from walking back over there to the garage to get the tool that I actually needed. 3 Ugga-Duggas. And that is solidly locked down. If you don't use your hold down, so like worst case Ontario, you could have, see these two top terminals here? I'm gonna leave those plastics on because I don't need them to come off for my connections. But if this thing were to jump, I've seen before where there's marks in a hood from a battery short-circuiting on the hood, and that can do all kinds of damage to the battery, to the car, to the electricals, set fires, not cool. And then, you know, okay, so that's kind of drastic, but less drastic scenario is this thing just sits here and shakes and rattles around every time you're moving and hitting bumps, and it will degrade the life of the battery, kind of like that one. So, okay, this is the back on. I said negative off first and on last. So here's my 2 side posts. A quick hint here, anytime you're testing a battery, test it where the cables connect. So we have a top post and a side post, and it's possible that we could have a bad connection internal in the battery on our side post here, but our top post tests out totally fine because the connections there internally are just totally okay. So not that I've been burned by that before. Power goes back down there. I always start these by hand, not with the tool, because it's not ideal to cross thread those. Very expensive battery to have to replace just because the terminal's been cross threaded. And by the way, those terminals are just made out of lead, so they are very soft. There we go, that's in. Take the little cover off. And I have seen that before, where a battery comes in, car comes in on the tow hook, customer changed out a battery themselves, which is awesome, good for you. But they left these little covers on and then put the cables back down on top of them. That's a really expensive tow bill for something that's really, really straightforward and simple. So just remember to remove those. Connecting up my negative. My first AGM battery. A lot of newer cars require an AGM, which is an absorbed glass mat. They're a little bit more durable than the flooded or the lead acid batteries. There's a little bit of debate about that, but I mean, overall, they're supposed to be more durable. So there's a little bit of potential. This old charging system was designed for a flooded battery. It's going to charge at a slightly different, I want to say that the amperage is a little bit high, the voltage. I think the voltage is a little bit higher on this, but AGM batteries charge a little different than lead acid batteries. So am I going to get the optimal life out of this thing? Optima, get it? Putting it in this older vehicle? No, but it should still way outlast the standard flooded battery that was in here before. I'm going to disconnect my auxiliary battery. Same thing, I always do the negative first. Close that back up, take everything out. Be very careful anytime you're working on a vehicle like this. I still have tools and stuff under the hood, so if I were to close my hood right now, I would damage the hood and possibly the tools. I do know a guy that he accidentally left a scan tool under here, and that was very expensive because he had to replace the scan tool and the hood for his customer. Plus, I still got an extra battery over there. Anywho, let's turn the key on and see if my radio is still the same. There's no power seat memory or anything in here. No battery management system I got to worry about. Is that time accurate? It is not. What about my radio stations? Yay, I still got my radio stations. So I got that part at least. I don't know if I had the time accurate beforehand or not, but stuff you want to kind of keep in mind for your customers. And so there's my battery voltage gauge right up there. Look, it's even showing a battery. Okay, and that little battery warning went away. My charging system is charging. We are good. As I said earlier, no battery management system in this thing to reset. So we're golden. And I'm just gonna go for some, test drives to make sure that everything is good, not too far from home. I do like to carry extra tools and stuff with me so that in case I do run into an issue, like, hey, we're okay. It's a 25-year-old truck. And I honestly don't think this thing is any less reliable than a brand new truck. Maybe it's because I'm jaded because I've worked at the dealerships and I've seen a lot of brand new stuff come in on a tow hook. But just do your maintenance, be smart about your old vehicles. Be prepared for situations so you don't get stranded. Tire plug kit. This thing is like 10 bucks. Little air compressor, 30, 40, 50 bucks, depending on which ones you get. That could save you a tow bill, So anyways, I'm not gonna force you to hang out while I find the remaining hardware for that and get that all bolted back up. Hope this helped. Let me know in the comments what else I can do so I can help make your DIY journey a little bit less painful. Have a good one.